explain briefly what a muscular imbalance looks like. Okay? First of all, now does that look familiar? Yeah, on your first visit I showed you this, the muscular balance versus imbalance. There's a joint in here, and these are muscles. Okay, now this is a real simplified way of looking at it. These are muscles, these are bones, although bones don't look like T-squares, so bear with me here. These muscles are balanced. They're pulling equally on a structure that constitutes balance, and the joint is tracking perfectly. As the muscles contract, the bones move, ligaments follow whatever the bone or the muscles are doing, so they're the perfect length. Nerves, arteries, veins, lymphatic structures are all coursing in and around these muscles unimpeded. Okay? Because it's all balanced, it's all working. Does that make sense? Okay? Yeah. Okay. There's a muscular imbalance. Do you see it? Okay. One of these two muscles is causing this imbalance and the other isn't. Which one is the bad guy? Can you guess which one it is?
Not sure.
Okay. Well, there's a $500 reward if you get this right, so you might want to give it a shot.
Say the right side.
You were so close. It's actually this side. Sorry. Yeah, you would have had to pay her, see. Yeah, it's this muscle because it's weak. Think of it, instead of muscles, think of them as rubber bands. This rubber band is working. This one is kind of stretched out and weak. So if you got this weak rubber band, what happens to its pull on the structure? It allows it to go away from it towards a perfectly good rubber band, which then picks up the slack and shortens it, becomes, well, in this case, muscle spasm. So this is a primary weakness. This is a secondary spasm. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. Now there's different approaches to this imbalance, but first of all, I want to point out a few things. This is painful. People oftentimes stretch it. If it's in your left upper trap, you're like, oh, honey, can you rub my, yeah, it's right here. Or, yeah, I got this spot in the back, can you rub this spot? Usually what you're asking them to rub is the secondary spasm. And that's why stretching it and rubbing it only has short-term effect because you're on the wrong muscle, okay? This muscle's actually just fine. It's picking up the slack for this muscle that's the problem muscle, the muscle that's weak, okay? So stretching this, putting heat or cold or electricity or ultrasound or diathermy or microwave may relax a perfectly good spasm, which is exactly what it is, but it's not going to fix the muscle weakness on the other side. So let's go over here. What would turn on that muscle? This person has already been to the chiropractor a lot of times, and they pushed the bone over, but these imbalances were still there. So the bone kept shifting out of position, and they kept getting it adjusted, and the bone keeps shifting out of position. They went to their massage therapist, which made them feel wonderful, as they always do because they're awesome. And they worked on this muscle, and in essence, they worked it and stretched it and mushed it down until it was in a weakened state. And this floated back to the center, and then they had two weak muscles. Okay? They tried the medical doctor, who put them on a muscle relaxant, which, yeah, that worked. But it also relaxed the other, I mean, there's 650 muscles that relax the other 649 muscles. So you walk in with one weak muscle and you walk out with 650 weak muscles. Such a deal I have for you, right? So that didn't fix the problem, okay? Somebody suggested exercise. Exercise in this direction for this muscle. But what if that's what they were doing when it stopped working? They were exercising. They were running a 200-meter sprint Okay, and all of a sudden they pulled up with a hamstring pull. What are you supposed to tell them? You need to work out more? Have you seen 200-meter runners' bodies? Okay, probably gods and goddesses out there. So exercising that muscle isn't going to turn it on. It's turned off electrically. However, they discovered if you exercise in that direction, muscles that are around this muscle, they can actually overstrengthen. And that'll kind of pull the structure over, take away the secondary spasm. Oh, and let's not forget about the joint. It's inflamed in this position. It's got to be where it's supposed to be before that feels good. But the problem is, if that's what you have to do to feel better, what happens when you stop? What happens when you go on vacation and you don't want to do your daily exercises in this one specific direction? Okay? I mean, that's the biggest thing I learned in school when they told us, yeah, you got to give them exercises, specific exercises. A lot of people just don't want to do it. But even if they did, they oftentimes feel good from it. But these are the same people that'll be like, yeah, my back's starting to hurt again. Yeah, the doctor gave me these exercises. When I do them, I feel better, but boy, if I lay off a couple days, it all starts coming back. And that's what's happening. They're exercising muscles over the top of the muscle that doesn't work. Okay? Yeah, you can talk to these big guys in a weight room. What they're doing is they're basically lifting weights and building up musculature over the weak muscle. But boy, if they ever stop doing that and decide they don't want to do it anymore, this is all coming back. Okay? So what have we done? We've done massage therapy. Well, PT, physical therapy, occupational therapy. You stretch the tight muscle, you exercise the weak muscle. We've done chiropractic. We've done drugs. Of course, anti-inflammatory drugs would help with the joint. What else? The general pain, oxy, opioids, seem to be all the rage. Yeah. If you want to get addicted to something, try those. I hear they're pretty cool. So what's left? Well, that's where I come in. Applied kinesiology, basically what we're looking for are these weak muscles and what caused them. Oftentimes the cause is a real simple thing. There was an overstretch and the muscle got traumatized. It could be a sprain, a strain. I've even had people lift weights too heavy in the weight room and overstretch muscles and turn them off. Somebody the other day was she was telling me, describing her pain. I said, were you doing bent over rows? And she goes, yeah. I said, yeah, I know what you turned off. And she had turned off some muscles, some in the front, some in the back. So what I do as an applied kinesiologist is I turn the weak muscle back on. I don't mess much with the spasm. There's really no need to. There's a few things you can do with it if it's stubborn and doesn't want to elongate again into a normal size muscle, but it depends on how long it's been there, okay? And once this comes back up to the center, the joint is very happy. See, that joint, that thing is wearing out. I mean, first it's inflamed and then it starts wearing down the cartilage, and the next thing you know, you're bone on bone. Pretty soon they're talking replacement, okay? If at all possible, you need to avoid that. Well, let's say it's not, let's say instead of a joint, maybe it's a disc, and that disc is bulging, okay? Maybe this one's fine, but this one's bulging here because of, an abnormal curvature in your spine. So what are the solutions for that? Well, they inject it with the cortisone. Hopefully the swelling goes down. They'll have you do exercises to try to straighten out this curve. I've been here Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, and including my Monday practice in Holland, I've straightened out about 6 or 7 curves in the spine. Most of them have been in the thoracic spine, and there's been a few that have taken place down in the lumbar region. But if you have a muscle turned off, for example, here's your thoracics and there's a curve like this, maybe a muscle over here has let go and it's allowing the spine to curve away from it. That's called idiopathic scoliosis. that can actually be corrected by muscle balancing techniques that we do and apply kinesiology. Now, if it's scoliosis from birth, that's a whole different story.